If you've got the IELTS speaking exam coming up soon, then this video is for you. And let me describe a moment you might recognize. So you sit down, the examiner smiles at you, presses record, and asks you something gentle to ease you in. Do you live in a house or a flat? Lovely. Nice, easy question. And there are two ways people tend to get this wrong. Option one, you go too short. A flat. Yes. Silence. The examiner waits. You wait. The birds outside stop chirping and they wait. Option two, you panic and overcorrect, and now you're going on far too long. So I live in a flat. It's a 2-bed on the 3rd floor, built in the 90s, I think. And to be fair, we did look at houses first, but the prices around here are ridiculous. So we went with a flat in the end, although my cousins actually got this lovely little house and a garden. And all the examiner asked was house or flat. And you've handed them a full life story. And that is the part one problem. It's a balancing act. Too short and you haven't given them enough to go off. Too long and you might even be marked negatively for coherence, as they could see it as you misread the simple question as a social issue to discuss in detail. Or more likely, because they're not necessarily going to mark you down for that, for going long. It's possible though, but more likely they'll interrupt you mid-flow. They'll say, okay, and they'll move on to the next question. Or they'll just start saying the next question. And I don't know about you, but if I'm interrupted mid-flow, it does something to me, and it will likely make me second guess, make me think twice about what I'm doing. It will make me second guess what I'm doing going forward. So if somebody interrupts me, then I'm, okay, maybe I shouldn't talk like that going forward. So it could negatively affect your following answers if you talk long and then they interrupt you. So the whole skill for part one is answering somewhere comfortably in the middle. Not too long, not too short. And also, we've got to be honest, part one is where they are forming, the examiner, they are forming their first impressions of you. You know, they are a human, of course, and they will, whether the test is more focused on part 2 and 3 than part 1, they will start to get a feeling for how good your English is in part 1. So even though it's the simplest part of the test, it quietly sets the tone for everything that follows. So today I'm going to show you how to answer 4 of these part 1 questions in a way that sounds relaxed, natural, and fluent. And we're going to do a band 5, band 7, and band 9 side by side. So today's topic is going to be around home and accommodation. So let's get into it. A quick recap though for anyone new to the test. Part 1 is the opening few minutes. The examiner asks you simple, friendly questions about your everyday life, where you live, your work or studies, your hobbies, that sort of thing. There's no cue card, no big discussion. It's basically a quick chat. And because it's a chat, there are 2, actually maybe 3 classic ways people get it wrong. The first is answering too short. Do you like your home? Yes, I do. It's nice. Done. And then nothing. The conversation just falls flat. On to the next question. The second way of doing it wrong is to over answer like it's a part 3 question by saying, well, homes play a crucial role in modern society because they provide a foundation for blah, blah, blah. It's a question about your flat. Calm down. Don't get all philosophical on them. And the third way you could do it wrong is to sound memorized, right? My accommodation is located in a convenient residential area, right? If it's overly rehearsed, it sounds a bit robotic, unless you're a very good actor. But the other risk of rehearsing it too much and, making a memorized answer is that you might fall into the trap of using stiff, unnatural structures and clinging onto them. And we don't want them to know we've rehearsed it. And the problem with that, if you might be wondering why that's a problem, is that they aren't actually getting to know your true level of English. And they know that. They can sniff it a mile away. If they are aware that you are memorizing a script, they will think, right, this isn't the actual level. I can't judge them on that rehearsed script. Because if they ask you a question that you haven't rehearsed, then you might have no English for it that you are able to just come up with on the spot. And that's the whole point of the IELTS test. It is to test your spontaneous ability to communicate in English. So keep one idea in your head for this whole episode. Part 1 is a conversation, not a presentation. Your job isn't to impress, it's to sound like a normal, relaxed human being who happens to be speaking very good English. Right, question 1. Do you live in a house or flat? Right, so the band 5 answer might be, I live in a flat, it is nice, I like it. Or maybe a more natural version would be, I live in a flat, it is nice, I like it. Now, there's nothing wrong with that exactly. It answers the question, but it's over before it started. And now the examiner is going to move swiftly on to the next question without having been given any evidence that you can actually speak fluently. Band 7 might be, I live in a flat just outside the city centre. It's not huge, but it's comfortable and pretty convenient for work. Okay, that's pretty good. We've got a location, a little detail, and a reason. It actually feels like an answer now. But then if we go up to a band 9, it might sound like this. I live in a flat just outside the city centre, actually. And to be honest, it suits me really well. It's not massive, but there's enough space, and I like that I can get into the town without too much hassle. So, what changed there? Not the vocabulary, really. There's nothing fancy in that band 9 answer. No long words. The difference is a little formula, and it's the most useful thing I think I can give you in part 1. So pay full attention, which is answer the question, give a reason, add a small personal detail. That's it. Answer, reason, detail. The band 5 gave us the answer and stopped. The band 9 gave us the answer of a flat, right? They said, I live in a flat. A reason it works, it suits me well. And a tiny detail, I can get into town easily. 3 little beats, and suddenly your examiner has reason to believe you are a confident speaker of English, which you are, right? And notice the length. We're not talking a long speech here. A strong part 1 answer is usually 2 to 4 sentences. Any shorter and it dies. Any longer and you're back to being a philosopher again. A quick side note before we carry on though, I've put together a free lesson pack to go with this episode. Inside it, you'll get a handful more part 1 question sets on everyday topics, each with band 5, band 7 and band 9 model answers, plus short exercises so you can practice building your own answers instead of just listening along. You can grab it by scanning the QR code on screen right now, or by clicking the link in the show notes, description box, or comments. And that link will open up this page that video podcast viewers can see right now. Just pop in your name and email, and I'll be able to send it straight to your email inbox. Right, back to question 2, which is, What do you like about your home? What do you like about your home? Right? A band 5 might say, oh, I like my home because it is comfortable and quiet. Fine, correct. A bit flat though. No pun intended. No pun intended. Band 7 might sound like this. I'd say the thing I like most is how quiet it is. I work from home quite a bit, so having a calm space really helps me. Okay, and then band 9, honestly, the thing I appreciate most is probably the quiet. I work from home a fair amount, so a calm space makes a real difference for me. Oh, and there's loads of natural light, which sounds like a tiny thing, but it genuinely lifts my mood. So let's have a little bit of a breakdown of those, especially the band 7 and 9. Did you notice how I started those answers? I think I said, I'd say ... or honestly ... These are what we could call discourse markers, and they are your best friends in part 1. Little phrases like, to be honest, I'd say, I suppose, not really though, or it depends, or to be honest, right? All of those do 2 jobs. They make you sound natural and relaxed, and they buy you half a second to think without going silent. The unnatural, robotic non-native might jump straight into the answer like it's a quiz show. The natural speaker eases in, like, honestly, the things I like are these things, right? So it's a little tiny run-up that makes a big difference to how fluent you sound. And then I want you to notice that little extra detail at the end of the band 9 answer. I brought up the natural light and how I liked it, right? And it's when you've almost finished your answer, but then another thought pops into your head and you want to say it. That's really natural, right? We don't want to overdo this, especially in part 2 and 3, but bringing this up in that way is very natural, and it shows that you're not rehearsed. You're just answering from, what comes up in your mind. All right, question 3. Is there anything you'd like to change about it, about your home, right? Band 5 might sound like this. Yes, I want a bigger kitchen. Band 7 might say, yeah, probably the kitchen. It's a bit small, so cooking can be a bit of a squeeze when there's more than one person in there. Band 9, yeah, if I could change one thing, it'd be the kitchen. It's pretty small, so the second there's more than one person in there, you end up getting on top of each other. Other than that, though, I'm honestly not too fussed. It does the job. Okay, let's break that down. So this question is where I want to make a point that matters a lot for you, because a lot of learners believe that IELTS means formal. So they reach for the stiffest, most official sounding English they can find. But look at that band 9 answer I just gave you. Not too fussed. It does the job. Getting on top of each other. That's casual, everyday, slightly playful English. And it scores because it sounds like real spoken English. If you were to compare it to a very formal answer that a non-native might spend a long time memorizing, that might be, there are certain aspects of my dwelling that I would endeavor to modify. I mean, not even the king talks like that. I'd say that a more natural, laid-back version wins, especially in the speaking test. There's also a sneaky bit of grammar hiding in that band 9 answer. I said, if I could change one thing, it'd be the kitchen. That's a conditional, and it sounds effortless, which brings us nicely to the next question. Would you like to move in the future? As in move house. Would you like to move house in the future? A band 5, yes, I would like to move. I want a bigger house, right? Band 7, possibly, yeah. I'd like somewhere with a bit more space at some point, maybe with a garden, but I'm in no rush. Okay. Band 9, yeah, I think so, eventually. I'd love a place with a garden one day, mostly so I'd have somewhere to sit out in the summer. But I'm pretty settled where I am for now, so it's more of a someday thing than a plan that I've got. Okay, now this question is secretly testing your grammar, and most people might not notice. So look at the words flying around in that band 9 answer. I said, I'd love, or one day, or I'd have, or even for now at the end. And that's future conditional and present, all woven in together. And I'm clearly not making a point of using it. You know, I'm not deliberately setting the whole answer up to show that I can use that future conditional or that present tense. It's all just coming together easily, just like we're talking. And that's what examiners mean when they talk about grammatical range. It's not about reciting tenses. It's about a brain that naturally reaches for the right one at the right time. And the band 5 speaker sticks to one safe gear the whole time. The band 9 speaker glides between them without ever sounding like they're actually trying to use them. And I will say, studying tense charts will only get you so far. They teach you the rules, which is kind of, I mean, it's tricky, but it's the easier part of it. The harder, more useful skill is weaving those tenses in and around each other so it sounds natural. And that comes from being deliberately active with your practice. So I would take one tense on its own, build your own sentences with it about your own life, then layer in another tense and notice how they sit together. Then ideally get feedback on whether it actually sounds natural and start to grow from there. Do that enough with your vocabulary about your world, and the right tenses stop being something you stop and choose and start being something that just, you know, start to show up on their own when you're speaking about your life. So before we finish this episode, let's summarize this one quickly. Part 1 is a conversation, not a presentation. Keep your answers to 2 to 4 sentences and use the formula answer, reason, small detail, and sprinkle in natural discourse markers or fillers, whatever you like to call them, like to be honest, or I'd say blah, blah, blah. If you do those 4 things, you'll do really, really well in part 1. And if you do that, you'll walk into part 2 and 3 having already convinced the examiner you can actually converse, which is a very nice position to be in. Now, if you're sat there thinking, Charlie, this is great, but how do I practice this on my own? Well, that's exactly what my free lesson pack is for. You'll get more part 1 question sets on different everyday topics, each with full band 5, 7, and 9 answers. I'm getting good at that hand gesture. My breakdowns of what's making the difference, and short exercises so you can build your own answers out loud. And I'd say the reason this works so well is that hearing the difference between the bands is the fastest way for you to score higher, because it's quietly retraining your ear to what an examiner is looking for. So just scan that QR code on screen or head to the link in the description, show notes, or comments. Open up this page, drop in your email and name, and it'll be with you in a matter of seconds for free. If not, check your spam or junk mail folder as well. All right, that's it for today. Next time you practice part 1, don't try to sound clever. Focus on sounding relaxed. Answer the question, give a reason, add one little detail and then stop. That's the whole skill. And if there's an IELTS topic you'd like me to cover next, drop it in the comments and I'll aim to make a video on it soon. If you want to keep going right now, there's another IELTS episode waiting for you on screen to click. So go and click it. See you in that one.